are stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello, Wanderers. It is Wednesday night, and I am AJ, your host of Soul Wanderings. And as always, I'm super crazy happy about being here with you, especially tonight because we have one of my favorite humans hanging out with us, and I cannot wait to share her with you or have you get reacquainted with her, because I know she's no stranger to the topics that we discuss here on Soul Wanderings. But first, let me direct you over to soulwanderings.com. That's where you can learn more about me and what I do. I have this show, which is amazing. And just before we came on live, we were talking about October is going to be my 6th anniversary of doing Soul Wanderings. I cannot believe it's been 6 years. That's just crazy awesome. And I also do a bunch of other things. I own a Heart-Centered Healing Center. During the day, we get to play out in those arenas. And I also own the sacredraven.com, which is all organic, herbal, ritual, bath, and body products. And I'm up to all kinds of things outside of there, helping humans, holding space, doing all this really magical things and stuff and all the to-dos. It's just amazing. I have a very blessed life, and I love to share it with all of you because you're the reason why I do what I do. So take a look at Soul Wanderings and you'll learn more. Also, our show is hosted on this amazing station, kgradb.com. My show is here. There are several other shows, as most of you already know. It's a great place for you to check out topics that are anomalous, that are not in the norm of people's awareness or what they're talking about. But we have questions and we're seeking those answers. These are the shows that you'll want to check out. So be sure to check out kgradb.com and take a look around. There's lots to see and participate in. And I think we should just get started. You know how I just like to dive in right away from the beginning so we can get to know our guest as long as we possibly can. Tonight is no exception. There's so much we get to talk about with our guest, who is Michelle Freed. And she is a graduate of the Alternative Practitioner Academy, and she's received certification from the National Guild of Hypnotism. She's completed the beginning, intermediate, and advanced training programs through her International School of Clairvoyance, where she learned to integrate her intuitive gifts with her hypnosis skills. But there's more. She's also a talented remote viewing instructor. She's been on the documentary Third Eye Spies and appears in an episode of Ancient Aliens. We all love that show. And also, she is the former producer for Art Bell. And we all know who that is. Currently, she is the co-owner of the new Midnight.fm network and producer for the Midnight Society radio show with Tim. And she is also the owner of LITM Media Inc., which is Leave It to Michelle, where she helps authors with marketing and publicity and getting booked on popular radio shows and podcasts, which I have to say, she has helped me out a ton in that way. Some of our best guests have come from Michelle. And now we have the opportunity to have Michelle share her time and energy with us in this moment. And I'm so happy to have you here, Michelle. Welcome.
Hey, AJ, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. When you said you wanted to be here, I was giddy. I was telling my producer how excited I was.
Oh, that's great.
We always get to chat through email, and I've read so much about you. I've heard so many wonderful things about you, and so I'm just honored that you have chosen to share your time with us tonight. Thank you.
I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. You have so much experience and have been in this arena for quite some time. I'm not going to say for so long because you're not old enough for so long, but for quite a bit of time. But before that, you were Michelle, living your life and doing your thing. And as you know, with Soul Wanderings, I like to get to know people on a personal level, if they allow. I say that because last week we had a challenging time really getting to know our guests, and sometimes that happens. But I know that you're willing and open and ready to share with us, and I am grateful for this opportunity. So why don't you share with myself and our listeners a little bit about you? Like, who are you? And give us some of your background before you stepped into the realms that you are in now.
Well, I was a stay-at-home mom for with three kids, and just kind of getting through life. And on the side, I have a background in the theater, so I was directing musical theater. I thought at one time that I had voice lessons and I'd like to sing. And I thought maybe that would be the way that I was going to go. But when I started getting the director bug and being able to be behind the scenes, it was a better place, a better fit for me. And a lot of things just came so naturally to me. I was really good at casting. I seemed to have a knack for it, where I would cast people and everybody would question me, like, what, do you see something we don't see? People just were always questioning that. And it kind of brought it through with what I'm doing now, where, I don't accept every single author. I want to find interesting people, so that people like yourself are like saying, these are some of my best, interviews. So that kind of makes sense that I kind of pulled that through my history. I kind of find like this endless, I think I was one of those people, I don't know, like a lot of people, and even my kids, where I was always asking, what should I do? What do I want to be? Things like that. And, I'm going with about it with a couple of my kids. And, the advice that I give them is really just kind of start somewhere, just find what you're interested in. And then somehow, I guess, in the world of attraction or manifestation, things, you get course corrected, and you just keep, as long as you stay aware of these opportunities, which are constantly coming at you, and then they just kind of move you through life. And then you just one day, go, oh gosh, everything makes sense now.
Yeah.
Even I got fired from this job. That was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Or why did I learn that? Or what was, and it all makes sense at some point, and then keep moving on forward.
Isn't it neat how all of the pieces just seem to fall into place?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really incredible. And when I say you have sent us some of the most amazing humans to spend time with, I'm not even kidding. They have just been outstanding. And I just have really enjoyed and still talk to some of them. So,
yeah, they're just, I also got advice from Art too, because, he was always looking for very unique guests, and I kind of feel like that's the key. Is just what I find interesting is, I'm not so unique in the fact, like, if I find it interesting, millions of other people are going to find it interesting too. So it's just kind of doing the legwork and looking under rocks and in obscure places to just find really interesting people, and trusting your gut, which is a huge thing, just trusting that instinct.
Absolutely. I love that you brought that up because so many of us are good at bypassing that gut feeling or our intuition, thinking something else needs to look and be a certain way. And we're missing out on all of these amazing opportunities because we do that.
Right. We do. And, that's the thing, like, when we dismiss it, or we don't believe it, or, we get distracted. And I just think that it's something that in my work and learning this, just kind of opening up to the possibilities, learning about your subconscious and how we have this ability to not just see what's right in front of us, but we can see a lot more. We just have to be aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And having that awareness to be aware of it. We don't know until we know, right? That's just part of our journey. You brought up Art Bell, and for those of you who didn't hear the introduction, Michelle was actually producer for Art Bell, and I know in this arena, everyone knows who Art Bell is. I know I grew up listening to him with my dad. He's no stranger to this arena. Everybody listened, everyone admired and appreciated that man. Tell me about your experiences. Like, how did you become his producer, and what was it like working for this guy?
Well, so at a point in my life where I kind of started to, I guess, look down the line. And I think it was a point where I decided that I was going to have a divorce, separate from my husband, because it wasn't my path. I kind of figured out, this is not my path. I'm wrong. Like, something just didn't feel right. I knew it for a while, but it just didn't feel right. And I stayed married for several years because of the kids, which a lot of moms do. And at some point, my kids actually came to me and said, we can tell you're not happy. We know, wink, wink, stuff like that. And to the point where my daughter, when she was at school, she wrote an essay about staying married for the kids. And her teacher called me up crying. Is everything okay with your daughter? She's like crying her eyes out. Is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, everything's great. Everything's awesome. She was just making this brilliant point from, they say from the mouth of babes. She was saying that you don't need to, we know, and we're going to be okay. And that just gave me permission to go forward. It was just finding what I call the sweet spot, that moment where, because my fears about how am I going to make money? How am I going to exist? Like I never paid a bill in my life. I got married right out of living at home. I didn't have a lot, like, how am I? And then one day it just, that sweet spot. And I just didn't care. Boom. Okay. I'm single and raising 3 kids. Okay. I have to work. And so I started thinking about that. And I had already been working in hypnosis and remote viewing, and had met a bunch of people. And I have, my background in marketing also. So I started just with my friends trying to pitch books and them to be on different shows. And I had not heard of Art Bell at this time. And I'm like, well, everyone talks about this dude, Art Bell. So, my motto is go big or go home. Right. And on the email in the subject line, I wrote go big or go home. And I wrote a pitch about one of my very good friends. And a producer called me right away, and they're like, oh my gosh, tell us all about this guy. I'm like, okay. And I told him he's remote viewing and Zen and blah, blah, blah. he's like, okay, I'm going to talk to the people here. We'll get back to you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So then time's going. I'm like, da, 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 about a month goes by, and I get a call back from Heather Wade, and she was doing the show, and Art was kind of the executive producer at that time. And so she called me, and she just was apologizing profusely, I'm so sorry we didn't get back to you, but I lost my producer. I love this guy. And I don't know what happened. I just, from my toes all the way up, and I don't know how it just kind of came out of my mouth. I just said, hire me. That's all I said, hire me. And she was speechless. Do you know any hosts that are speechless?
Sometimes, but not very often.
She was totally speechless, and she's like, well, let's give you a try. And I'm like, okay. So in 2 days, I booked 2 weeks of guests, and at that time they were doing a show every single day. So I booked guests for 2 weeks, and Art told her, if you don't hire her, I'm firing you.
Oh my.
So basically, that's how I got my job, is I asked for it.
Yeah, so confident. I think that's what probably made her feel speechless, is your confidence. Not a lot of people are going to stand in that power and say, I can do this, hire me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like I was, what they say, fake it till you make it. I don't think I was really, I just don't know where that came from. It just kind of just came out, and I'm so glad it did. So glad it did. But it was life-changing for sure.
Absolutely. I would imagine so. What was it like working with him directly?
So it wasn't directly, because everything was like, I lived in Chicago and he lived in Pahrump. So it was, kind of through the phone and
Right.
talking. Yeah. So, but it was, he's very particular about a lot of things, and I'll never forget, one of the things I had to do were sound checks. And, we're in this transition at the time between how the cell phones were starting to get better than even landlines. And we were doing a lot of the interviews on Skype, which was sometimes not so reliable. But he kind of gets stuck in his way, and he's like, we're doing it. It has to be a landline, or Skype or whatever. So, so I had to kind of follow that, and it was really difficult, because I would do a sound check with somebody, and then they would sound good with me. But then if the interview is in 2 days, then it wasn't sounding so great. So one of the interviews, they were cutting in and out, and I was driving home from somewhere, and I got a phone call, and all I heard was, "You blew it." And I was like, devastated. I was like, oh my God. So I had to pull over because I was so upset. I just heard, "You blew it." And I'm like, oh my God. That was a big lesson.
Yeah, we all live and we learn, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but a lot of a lot of the things that I do now are just kind of lessons that I learned, just, because he's been in the business for such a long time.
Definitely a leader in the industry.
Yeah. And I feel like at this point I should have a PhD in, in this field, whatever we call this field, metaphysics or the unexplained. I should be like doctor of strange happenings or something.
Well, I do have to give you props. Of all of the agents that I work with, you are the most efficient and organized. Not that they aren't that way. I don't want to say
No, I know what you're saying.
Great job, but you're a level above the rest. And I'm sure that has to do with a lot of your personality and your experience. It really does show, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. That's sweet. Thank you very much.
I love it. I think it's so nice when you reach out to me and you're like, I have a guest who would be great, and I'm like, yes, because you make it so easy for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess my philosophy with all that, I have a couple things. One is I love powerful women doing, kind of paving the way for other women. There was a time where this field, podcasts and radio, there were not very many women, and they were all kind of stereotyped with that certain kind of deep voice that was kind of like a man, but being a woman. And then, we have a lot of women, which I hate to say, that are a little, what are we, like woo woo, which I love them. They're adorable and great, but they're not powerful. They're not paving the way for, and so I want to do what I can to support other women in these positions and places. And so I think that's why it excites me, having that kind of relationship with people like yourself. And so putting you in a position where you can shine, just show up and shine, and then all this other tedious kind of work that I don't mind doing. In fact, I like doing, I can just hand it over and then you can do your thing. And that's what I like to do with all these other people.
Well, thank you for including me in that list of women. I definitely feel honored. You said not many hosts are speechless. That's one of the things when you start sharing, I'm like, what do I say? I don't know what to say to that. It's just so honoring, and I really appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean,
the thing about doing this show is I do it because I love it. Not that I'm trying to make a career in it. I'm not trying to show up and be a certain way, right? I'm just trying to hold space for people to show up and be themselves. And I think for me, that's what works. That's what's best for me and how I choose to spend my time each week.
Right. And and when you have something to offer and, give people, because another big point is that we're all looking for community. We're all looking for people that think like us. And, because a lot of times I get so excited about this stuff and I want to tell my family, and they're with the rolling of the eyes, they just don't want to hear. They don't want to hear anything. And I love when we can get with a group of people and, share these ideas and get excited about people, and we're on the same page of stuff. And so having this show is doing that for people. It's like making it a safe place for them to talk about it. Not be made fun of and whatever.
Exactly. I agree. I couldn't agree more. That is always the intention, is allowing people to feel safe and comfortable. That's why we just hang out and have organic conversation. And every week it's different. You never know what we're going to get. And that's the beauty of it. I love it. For those of you who are just joining us, we are hanging out with Michelle Freed tonight, and she is up to a lot of amazing things. We're going to learn more about her as we continue our wandering for the rest of our time together. If you guys would like to go over and visit her website, she has a lot going on. You can take a look at that during this commercial break. It's butterflyeffectcenter.com. You can see all of the different things that she does, which we'll get into. So I'm not just throwing you over there for information. Michelle's going to share so much with us tonight. We're going to take our first break of the show, and when we return, we will hear more about Michelle and all of this goodness we keep talking about going to happen. So stay close, everyone, and we'll be back here in just a few moments.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Are you looking to go on a faraway journey that is magical and mysterious, reaping on mystical legends? If so, then Mysterious Adventure Tours is perfect for you. Imagine a voyage to explore ancient mysteries of Ireland, haunted majesties of Scotland, or their chilling Birth of the Vampires in Romania. These small esoteric getaways are limited and do fill up fast. So, go to MysteriousAdventureTours.com and book your trip soon.
Hi, I'm Austin Butler from Baz Luhrmann's new film, Elvis.
Tomorrow, all of America will be talking about Elvis Presley.
As a blood donor himself, Elvis shared the gift of life with patients in need and asked others to do the same. We're encouraging you to give blood this summer. Please visit redcrossblood.org/Elvis movie today to learn more.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Hello, you beautiful humans. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings. Tonight we are hanging out with our guest, Michelle Freed, and she's a graduate of the Alternative Practitioner Academy. She's certified from the National Guild of Hypnotism. She's a remote viewer and remote viewing instructor, and she's also the former producer for the Art Bell Show. And currently, she is the co-owner of the new Midnight.fm network and producer for the Midnight Society radio show with Tim. And she's also the owner of Leave It to Michelle Media. And I think that's a great name. So catchy, because really, you just leave it to you and you take care of everything, as we discussed before the break. Welcome back, Michelle.
It's good to be back.
We'll have a few of those. All right. So moving on, let's talk about all of the things that you have been up to, that you're passionate about, that you want to share with the world here tonight and currently in your life, I should say. You have a lot going on. We have similarities that way. Our hands are in a bunch of arenas, but they're all connected one way or another. So what do you want to talk about first? Should we talk about hypnotism? Do you want to talk about remote viewing? Where's your heart directing you?
Oh gosh, I have no idea.
Okay, well then let's start with hypnotism.
Okay, we should have like
you've been doing the longest, right? Yeah,
what?
Spin the wheel. Topic of the hour. You've been doing hypnotherapy for quite some time.
Yeah.
Was that the first thing that was your direction from the very beginning? Is that the first thing you dabbled in and decided you loved?
Not really. So I don't know, 10 years ago or something, maybe more. I don't remember dates really well. But I took my kids over the summer on a 2-month, like an 8-week road trip. And we packed up the car with tents and everything. And we just started traveling. We put 8,000 miles on the car. So we left from Chicago. We went to the West Coast and then went to the East Coast. And then we came home. And so, and it was a combination of staying in hotels and camping. And so, and we got two college essays out of the trip. So it paid off, right? But so when I went to California, I reconnected with a friend from high school, and she has written a few books on psychic development. And when we reconnected, she said, you know, Michelle, you should take my class. And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, no, you're, you know, you have so much instinct and you really should take it. And I'm like, yeah, you have to be born with it. And she's like, no, everybody has it. It's intuition. Everybody has it. I'm like, fine. So I really didn't take it seriously. But I started taking the class, and it got to a point where I was doing things or seeing things or sensing things that I couldn't explain away anymore. It just got like, I'm out. I just don't even know how to explain these things happening. And so me being a skeptical believer and kind of lean towards the science of things, I was like, okay, I'm into this. And since I lived in Chicago, I knew that our community here in Chicago really not into psychic stuff. They're really more grounded. I shouldn't say more grounded, but they're just not into this. They're just kind of just not into, I don't even know how to describe it. And so I was kind of thinking, what is something that they would be able to, you know, I can make money and they would be able to tolerate a little bit. And so I thought about hypnosis, because hypnotherapy is just like psychotherapy, but it's like a different kind of way to go around it. And I think that there are some people that would be open to that idea. And so that's what put me on the track to hypnosis. In fact, I asked the teacher on the phone before I signed up, I'm like, is like hypnosis, like, does it have anything to do with like psychic stuff or intuition or anything like that? And she goes, she's Russian, tough Russian. And she says, I can't do a Russian accent. I was going to try, but forget about it.
Forget about it.
But she said, take the class. You know, she ordered me to take the class. And I'm like, okay, no questions. I'll take the class. So I did. And, oh yeah, there's a lot of intuition involved. It covered every single aspect. It covered the science. It covered, you know, just everything that all my questions I had. And the idea of hypnosis is that if somebody has a habit they want to break, or they're going through something and they need help, or they need like age regression to get over something, you know, a fear, a phobia, any of those kinds of things, this works like that. It works very quick. And so I was getting a lot of clients, and like one lady, for example, she came to me, she was biting her nails and she wanted to stop. And so I make them, you know, commit to 3 appointments, because the first appointment, we just kind of talk about it. And then they do like their very first time with me going into trance, because you have to build up a trust. And because it happens so fast, we kind of have to work fast. So you kind of go through the motions of trance so that they know what to expect. Mm-hmm. The second one, you're already doing some work. And the third one, you're already kind of fixing things, and you may or may not need more after that. But usually you make a huge progress in 3 sessions. So we get to the second session, and I realized that biting her nails was really something that went back to her childhood.
Mhm.
And I said, in the next session, we have to do age regression. So we're going to take you back and find, the origin of what's behind this, because then we'll eliminate your nail biting forever. I mean, I could put a Band-Aid on it and then, make you stop biting your nails temporarily. But if we really want to eradicate this habit, we need to take you to your where the origin is.
Mhm.
And so at the end of the session, I'm like, okay, so, when do you want to come back? She's like, I'll call you. I'll call you with the date. I'm like, because in hypnosis, people have to be ready for it,
Right.
because it happens that fast.
Mhm.
I worked with quit smoking, like a husband and wife, and the wife wanted the husband to quit smoking. And so I was going to do them both together. And I, kind of talked to him first and realized he was only quitting for her. And I just said, well, it's not going to work because you don't really want to. He goes, no, I just like going into trance. No worries. I'm like, okay. So, and it worked for her. And obviously it didn't work for him. And then some of the funner things that I've worked on is past life regressions.
Yeah.
Those are so much fun. I just love it. I just love taking people back, to other lives and things like that. And, there is an aspect of it that we do use for therapy, because we found in hypnosis that people, when you have something going on and you can't explain why you have this or something, sometimes it's something you bring from a past life into this life.
Mhm.
And so what we do is we'll go back into that life and kind of heal it. And then that kind of heals what's happening, in this life. So that would be kind of the therapeutic aspect. And then there's other things that we have a lot of fun doing, where we just randomly go back to a fun place, or we set an intention. Intention is really important. And I'll also talk about that with remote viewing. But in hypnosis, we will set the intention, like, let's go back to a life where I can learn a skill from that life and bring that knowledge into this life. So it reminds me of those futuristic movies where, the people get a download in their brain and they can, know how to fly an airplane or something, those sci-fi movies. It's kind of like that, where you could go back in that lifetime and bring back the skill. So that's pretty cool too.
So I've heard a lot of things in regards to hypnotherapy and past life regression, but that's one thing I have not heard of happening, bringing a gift from a past life into the current life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I would say so. Everything is very intentional, and it is when you go into any type of energy session of whatever that is, whether it be the hypnotherapy or past life regression or energy healing, intention is huge. And you brought up earlier with the husband and wife how he did not have the same intention as her. Do you feel like on any level it could affect someone even if they didn't have the intention to heal? Would just the energy or the vibration of the experience help them at all?
I mean, I can't say for sure. I would just say that it would be harder, but maybe it could work if just the knowledge, just the knowledge that somebody is thinking about them, or, it's a kind of like, it's love, and so just somebody sending love in a way, just makes people automatically feel good, even if it's not specific to healing something specifically.
Right.
I guess, because,
well, your intention is one thing, and then your client's intention is another thing. And so I just feel like somewhere in between, with both of you being intentional, would be powerful, right? But if one of you was more intentional, at least there would be some kind of progress there?
So when I'm working with somebody in terms of intention, my intention is very ambiguous. So I'm just saying, I'm just going to lead you on your journey. You're the one driving the car, and I'm just the headlights. So my intention is just to kind of create a space or a path, or just light the way to help them get to where I don't force them anywhere. I really let them lead me. And then I just kind of pull out ways to just help them. So it's a very ambiguous intention when I'm working in that way. And then if we're talking about remote viewing, intention is very specific in remote viewing. So it's like a whole different thing. But in hypnosis, it's really just to, help them. I always say, you take me to the most important place, or you take me to the origin. If they have like a physical discomfort somewhere in their body, like a chronic knee problem, my question is, take me to the origin of your knee problem, because we find that we never go to the knee. We go somewhere else, and then wherever that is, and then that's what we want to look at. So sometimes it could lead back to the heart, and we find out that the person broke up with someone and they just can't move on, and it manifests itself in their knee, making it really hard for them to walk. And so it's like it's like a metaphor for, I can't move on. I need to, so then we, kind of look at that, and then we kind of go into it and try to find ways to just kind of heal that pain. And then that ultimately will help their knee, because it's that mind and body relationship that they work together.
Right. And moving forward, it's similar to Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, how she has a list of different things that go on in your body that are really related to deeper rooted issues or experiences. I love the connection, how you're like, there's no way that could be a thing, but it ends up being a thing.
Yeah. Can I give you like a little sort of, not, I don't want to say lecture, but a little talk about that we talk about how that works?
Absolutely. Yes. The more we learn, the better.
So, and I teach this in my remote viewing class because it helps a lot. But in hypnosis, one of the first things we learn is about how our brain works. And in regular science, they will separate the brain into two. They'll say there's a conscious and unconscious. And that's how they kind of, explain everything. In hypnosis, it's suggested that we separate the brain into three parts. So you have your conscious, then we have subconscious, and then unconscious. So we separate that unconscious with subconscious and unconscious. And the purpose of the part of the brain that we call subconscious is it has permanent memory. So I compare the subconscious to the Akashic records, where every thought you think, every word you say, everything is recorded, and it's in your permanent memory. Okay. But there's no way for us to have it all up in the forefront, because we can't function if we remember everything at the same time. So your safety in your body pushes things back, and you don't remember everything. And so it kind of stays there. But what happens is your emotions kind of have an imprint, and they can affect your physical body. So a perfect example that I use all the time is I'll tell somebody to recall the last time they felt sorry. And I'll say, okay, describe what sorry felt like. And they'll say sorrow. And you notice them like leaning forward. I feel horrible, I feel bad, I feel sad, I feel remorseful. They'll use all those kinds of words, and they're like this. And then I'll say, okay, what if you replace the word sorry with the word I apologize? Even the word makes me sit up straight. Mm-hmm. The word apologize, when I ask people about that, they're like, it's an empowering word. It's doing the same thing. It's doing the same purpose. And so when we use those words, because in the subconscious, there's no language. It just, everything's a metaphor or a feeling. So every word you use is connected to a feeling. So like I just described, that sorry can feel that one way and apologize can feel another way. They're two separate feelings for the same kind of meaning word. Mm. And as you notice, your body reacts to those emotions based on those words. So that's kind of how that mind and body kind of connect to each other, because, you know, those words and their emotions affect how, because I would say, here's another part of it. So if I say, where in your body do you feel sorry? Then people are, oh, like right here in my heart, you know, I feel right here, I feel sorry. I'm like, okay, well, where in your body do you feel I apologize? And they're like, oh, in my head, up here in my head. So you can see that the feeling affects your body in different ways. And the other thing is, if you're in a constant state of fear, if you are phobic about things, it's the same as me walking up to you and sneaking up behind you and saying, boo. And then your body tightens up. Mm-hmm. So if you're walking around all day in the state of fear, no wonder why you need a massage.
Right.
Gift certificates for massages.
Yeah. I just need a massage.
Right.
Who's going to turn on one of those?
Exactly. And so that's how the mind and the body kind of connect with that kind of how the brain is working and functioning. So that's my little spiel about.
No, I like how you broke it down. It makes it definitely more clear and understandable, because hypnosis is such a, like, it's still so unknown, right? We still can't really quite explain the way it works or understand the effects that it has. We just know that it does. And it's really neat how you broke it down the way that you did. It makes more sense to me logically, but also as a feeler, it makes sense connecting the dots, understanding how it all works out. We've had many guests on the show who are hypnotherapists, and they all have something different to say about it. They have different descriptions of what hypnosis is, different ways that they practice hypnotherapy. And it's just neat to hear everyone's points of view.
Yeah, that's a good point. I how I was taught, and which I like how I was taught, is just that it's natural part of being human. Mm-hmm. You know, because we talk a lot about that you are entranced all day long. And so the idea of hypnosis is putting in a suggestion at the right time. So even me talking about a massage, your first thing was you were already like kind of focusing on your shoulder. So I kind of, you know, put that suggestion out there. And now, you know, at the end of the show, you're going to make an appointment and see the massage. And who knows out there who's listening might also. It's good business, right? We should get a massage to sponsor the show and
right. I actually get massages quite often. That's the one way I self-care.
That's amazing. That's so great. But yeah, and I think like if we understand, it's not like in movies, like I think they have that movie called The Office. Did you ever see that? Or Office, something Office. I think Jennifer Aniston is in it.
And Office Space or something.
Yeah. The guy like goes into hypnosis and then he drops dead. And so people think, can I die from, like, what if I die? Or can I be stuck in hypnosis and never get out of it? No, none of that stuff happens. That's just in movies.
That was the movies.
Yeah.
So what other things can you do with clients when it comes to regards of hypnotherapy. Say, what I'm getting at, like if they've been through a big traumatic experience, or even like the topics we talk about, like adoptees. How does hypnotherapy assist those who have been through something traumatic?
Right. So basically, what we do is we will regress them to. So I've had this crazy story where within a year, I don't remember all the dates, but 3 separate people came to me. None of them knew each other, and they're on different parts. One was from Canada, one's from Illinois, and one's from California. All separate, like months apart. I didn't even think much of it. And they all came and they wanted me to work with them because they feel like they were abducted. So we went through the whole process, and I regressed them to, their abduction. Now, in my mind, I'm always, questioning, wondering, was it a dream and it just felt vivid, or did something really happen? So I'm always sitting here very curious about what they're saying. So the first guy tells me this, that, we put him in trance, and he's describing his experience, because we brought the past into the front. And he's like, I'm in water, I'm breathing water. And he's describing like plant and vegetation that he's never seen before, colors that he's never seen before, all that stuff. And the second person I spoke or regressed pretty much said almost the same description. And guess what? The third person too. All 3 of them were describing being not of this planet and being like living and breathing water. And they were describing, different situations, but it was all underwater with these colors and these shapes and vegetation, whatever. And I was just like, okay, something's going on here. I don't know what, but hey. So that was pretty fascinating to, wow. Yeah.
That's crazy that it's all around surrounding water. There's so much I want to know about that, the ocean. Like, we don't know anything about the ocean in comparison to what's above us. And, there's all kinds of topics regarding different life forms living in the ocean or coming from those parts of the water. And obviously we're not going to have all the answers tonight, let alone in our lifetime, but it does open up so many pathways of conversation and wondering like what is really happening and what is out there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's true. And somebody recently asked me about Bigfoot, and they're like, do you believe that, Bigfoot exists? And I'm like, I can't say no, because they're finding different species like all over, like in the water, in the ocean. They're finding species in the rainforest, like incredible microorganisms that we've never heard of that do amazing things. We can't say definitively no.
Right.
So, yeah.
This world is a great big mystery, no doubt about it. It's so amazing. And I love the connection that hypnotherapy provides for people to have those experiences, especially with past life regression. I've had that service a couple of times, both very different experiences. Both left me with more questions than answers, and I just want to know more and more and more, but both really great experiences, and I'm thankful for them. I really encourage people to have their own experience in hypnotherapy, past life regression, because there's just so much that we can know about ourselves, diving deeper into our unconscious and subconscious mind. And it's really a neat thing when you are able to tap into those areas and learn more about yourself and even your past experiences, and also the healing that can occur in those spaces is really magical
Right.
and really cool. Tonight we are wandering with Michelle Freed, and we are at the top of the hour, which means our last commercial break. Second hour is commercial free. I hope you guys stick around. We're going to talk about remote viewing. We'll see you here shortly.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Are we alone in the universe? The most important question facing humanity is on the verge of being settled once and for all. The Mutual UFO Network has been at the forefront of this journey for nearly 50 years. Our members worldwide are dedicated to the research, documentation, and awareness that will shape the future of humanity. Won't you join us?
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Hello, Wanderers. Here we are at the top of the hour. This next hour is completely commercial free. I love when we have commercials because it's great to have sponsors, but I also love having uninterrupted time with our guest. And I'm just curious, how many of you have gone over to kgradb.com and checked out the lineup? We have so many great shows on KGRA. It's amazing over there. And there's also exclusive behind the scenes membership only content. So if you have not joined as a member, I highly recommend you do so. Very affordable. And you can also receive 30% off your annual membership by using my promo code, which is SOUL21, SOUL21. That way you can get the discount, save some money, and get that exclusive content. There's so much in there, and there's constant adding going on. So be sure to check it out. I even go in there and check it out. I spend my spare time on KGRA quite a bit listening to the other shows. There's a lot of really good shows here. Tonight we are hanging out with Michelle Freed, and she has a lot of things. First of all, you're beautiful. Your soul is radiant. I just love that you're here with us tonight. Your energy is contagious. But Michelle is also a hypnotherapist. She's a remote viewer and a remote viewer instructor. She also is the producer for the Midnight Society radio show with Tim and the co-owner of the new Midnight.fm network. And she also has Leave It to Michelle Media, where she helps me and a bunch of other hosts with some amazing guests, some of the best guests we've had. And tonight we are learning all about Michelle and what she is up to in all of the creations thereof. So first hour, we got to know you. We got to know about hypnotherapy a little bit. But now let's dive into the remote viewing, because this is where you spend a lot of your time and you have a new class coming up I want to make sure everyone knows about. But first, let's talk about remote viewing. What is it and how does it work?
So remote viewing is, let's see, it is a method that was created back in the 70s. I'm making a long story short because anyone can just look up on the internet and they'll tell you. But the kind of remote viewing I'm talking about came from Stanford Research Institute that was created for the military, and it was called Stargate project. So it was a classified, it was classified project. And so what they did was they put together a protocol. You know how the military is, everything has to be documented and collected as in data. And the idea is finding psychic people that can project their subconscious to a location and describe what's going on there. And the idea is how it's based in science is that there's a viewer, and that viewer cannot know what the target is. So they're blind. And sometimes they could be double blind to the target. They're just given a random number. And that number is set up with intention, like what we were talking about. So say we're looking for a missing person, and that number would be the coordinates to the project of finding the missing person. So all the viewer would get is this number. And then behind the scenes, what the viewer doesn't see is that they're writing, like a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, and the paper will have the tasking, which the tasking would be sketch and describe the current condition of so-and-so, or sketch and describe the physical condition of so-and-so. And then we follow this, it's broken down into different phases. You follow the protocol. You tune in using your senses and perceptions, and you kind of go through. It looks like writing on paper. You sketch things out that pop up in your mind, and you kind of monitor yourself and direct yourself to describe what's there. And that's kind of how it works.
How accurate is remote viewing?
So I'm glad you asked that question. So I've done quite a few projects where we were predicting future outcomes of sporting events and things like that. And we use that because it's a really good way to use, the P code, and it's good for science because we can keep track of our percentages, and anything over 50% is significantly, interesting. So one of our projects, we did 50 trials, and we were dreaming about a photo that was going to be shown to us after a game. And we had I think it was like a 60, at one point we were a 72% hit rate. Then it kind of dropped a little to like 65, something like that, but it was over 50%. So that was really a really good project. I feel like that was successful. And a lot of people will ask us, if you're so psychic, you could do all this, why aren't you winning the lottery?
Classic question. Yes.
Right. But I have an answer for that. There's this will be a quote from Joe McMoneagle, which is one of the first remote viewers in the military. I bet people out there have heard of his name, Joe McMoneagle. And he says, Michelle, if you want to be a world-class remote viewer, you have to give up what it is to be human. And I was just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Well, the thing is that a lot of us, things are subjective, and we're fighting with our left brain and our right brain all the time. And our left brain is very powerful, and we need it. It's very important. But what it does is it wants everything to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if I said, describe an apple, and people say, oh, it's red, shiny, round, it's an apple. But you know what? That's like a nice little bow around it. But what if it's actually a fire truck, which is red, shiny, and round? And then you're looking for a missing person, and you're looking for apples when it should be a fire truck or any truck, for that matter. So that's where our problem is that when we're doing our session, if we can get to a point where we can set aside the left brain and let the right brain lead and just be okay with things not making sense, then we could be really, really accurate, and there are moments where you find that happening, we just haven't been able to sustain it. And so sometimes you'll get a session that is spot on. And then other times you're going to session that bombs. More sessions bomb because, we are human. But that's really what our challenge is to get to that point where we can actually be okay with things not making sense. So that's the explanation. And it's true. And so we do fight with that. But I believe that we can get to that place. We just, we don't use it enough, in our everyday lives. Like, that's why I'm so passionate about remote viewing. I want everybody to be doing this, and you can solve your own problems with it. You can find answers, and that if you're wondering, should I take this job or this job, you can remote view it and figure out which job you should be taking. What foods are the optimum foods for me. You can remote view that and figure out what foods are best for you. So, And then, of course, helping to find missing people. Then we do projects that are esoteric, like, are there UFOs? Are there life? Is Skinny Bob a hoax? And, all sorts of things like that. And, all the greatest mysteries. We try to do the pyramids and all that fun stuff. And we get really, to me, those things we can't verify. But for me, when I get lots of students basically saying a lot of the same things, I'm kind of like, there must be something to this. Right. So, yeah.
I bet that's a neat experience, having a group of people you're teaching and they're all coming up with similar responses.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling when those things happen. Like, whenever I do the pyramids as a target, and keep in mind, nobody knows it's a pyramid. They just get a number. And if you take my class, you might get the pyramids, but I won't tell you when. They all will have in their session something about energy and water and all this stuff like that. And you're like, okay, because there's a lot of talk that the pyramids were a source of energy. And a lot of people believe that there was water at one time around and through the pyramids. And it boggles my mind that they don't even know the target. They're drawing, angled shapes on their paper. It's clear that they're looking at the pyramids. It's incredible. And so it gives me chills every time when those sessions come in. It's fantastic.
I bet. that would be really neat to witness. As humans, we come into the world with all of these clear abilities, right? They're just our rights that we have is when we come into this experience, and then somewhere along the way, a lot of us lose that belief or understanding that that is part of who we are. And having people like you remind us during experiences like this has got to be a really neat feeling. Just being a space holder for people to be able to stand in their power, if you will, and realize just how significant they are and that they have this ability, because it is in each and every one of us. Not all of us believe that. Not all of us even believe it's a thing, let alone believe that we have the ability. Do you have any profound moments with your students where it changed them so profoundly in such a huge way that their life was altered because of it?
There are incredible, I mean, I can say myself and then other people too. A couple things just recent, I think I told you at the beginning before we went live, is in one of my classes, I always say that, and I'm very patient with people that are skeptical, because I understand that nobody could possibly know unless they do it and experience it. There's just no way, unless you have your very own experience, for you to understand what this is like. And two of my students in my class, that's what happened to them. They had the experience, they hit the target, and in the middle of class, they just started crying because they just were like, this does work. It works. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, yes, it works. It excites me, So, and then the other thing are lessons that I've learned from doing it for so long is learning to trust your gut, learning to incorporate, not just like, oh, I'm only going to do intuition when I'm sitting in this spot, and or I'm only doing intuition when somebody asks me to do a psychic reading. No, do intuition all day, every day. They say,
right. It's a muscle, right? You practice it, you strengthen your muscle.
Right. But trust it. That I did not trust it. I'd let things bubble up and I'm like, nah. But so far, just giving away my control and humbling myself and just kind of letting that lead me it was scary. It was petrifying because there's always that what if, and it created a lot of anxiety, but I just kept pushing through it because I just wanted to be better. And then it just little by little, I would get little successes, and then they felt better and better and better. And then I'm like doing it more. I mean, I definitely need to keep improving, but trusting that, because that's all the people around me. I have very strong personalities in my life, and I'm sure lots of people do. And I get sucked into living my life how they expect me to live my life. And especially, when I was going through a divorce and everything, a lot of people with a good heart wanted to tell me how to do things. And that was great for what they thought, but ultimately it wasn't right for me. And I had to really stand up for myself. And that was a big deal. And it all came from starting to get confidence with remote viewing. It just started to like, whoa. And then there's a whole nother thing where something called an AOL, and it stands for analytical overlay. This is when I gave the example about red, shiny, and round. This is where we name something instead of describe it. So we say it's an apple, and we don't really want to do that because then it puts us into a position where we start building a story from our left brain. Like, well, if it's an apple, then it must be a fruit basket, So I learned an AOL is like assuming. And I took this lesson from remote viewing and applied it to my life and learned how much I assume things.
Yeah. Don't we all?
Comment to me when I assume something, now I check it out. It's like, yeah, I'll make a joke now. They don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll go, oh, whoops, it's an AOL, and so that is, a huge lesson for me. And it's also opened up because I get it helps with communication, like I don't want to AOL, like now I'm saying AOL.
I'm not laughing at you. I was laughing at Maria.
So am I.
A listener, AOL used to be the hookup place in the 90s, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's so funny. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, there's a lot, like those are life-changing things. And I think a lot of the students, they have their own things, that they go through too. Just knowing that we're more than just this. We're more than this.
Yeah.
So.
I would imagine going through a course like this and having that validation would be really empowering for self. Not in an ego way necessarily, but just knowing how you have these abilities and how they can benefit you in your life and others if you choose to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how magical is that? I just think that's really neat. I'm totally interested. I was telling you about that before the show. I have abilities. There are things that are validated with me all of the time. So grateful. I really do stand in a place of gratitude when those things happen, because even I'm blown away when I have something come up and then it's validated, because it's not normal, right? It's not normal, but it is supposed to be. It is supposed to be what it is.
Yeah.
And it's just really neat. It's crazy to wrap your head around, but it's really cool when it happens. What are some of your most memorable moments as a remote viewer for yourself? Like, have you assisted in a missing case person that was successful? Have you remote viewed anything else that stands out that you think would be interesting to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did a missing person. I was part of a team, and I got the assignment. Someone just sent me a number, and they told me missing person. That's probably the only information. I didn't know if it was in the United States, if it was male, female, a kid, adult. I had no idea. Just a missing person. And the minute we do a cool down, and then we kind of start the process. And that the minute that I picked up my pen, I just had a knowing that there was no life. So I knew I'm searching for somebody that isn't living. And I had this image in my mind, kind of perception, like bits and pieces. It was coming in remote viewing. Things come in bits and pieces. It's not a beautiful, clear picture. Of course not. It's our subconscious, which doesn't understand language or anything. So you have to tap into it with your senses. But in this particular case, I did have a visual, and I was above looking down, and I was able to look at, I don't even know how big this area was, but I was able to kind of describe different things looking down, like a satellite vision, or probably closer. So I saw a male, and I saw his position, and he was on the ground with blood coming out of his forehead, and there was a big giant rock next to him. It was a very foresty area, and there was water nearby, and then some dilapidated building or shack down kind of a dirt road, and there was like a shack there. So I kind of drew a sketch, like a kind of map, and I'm not good at drawing. You don't have to be, but I do like with the arrows and say, this is a shack, this is the water, because we need to take a class in art. And so there were other people too that contribute, but what helped them was, the investigators, detectives, they knew where this place was. So what they did with that map is they matched up a shack, a forest, water. They looked for like triangulating an area where they could find something. So that helped along with the other people. And what they found him. And the story is that he was a college student, that shack was actually a bar. He got totally drunk, walked down the path, and took out a boat in the water. The boat capsized and he died from a head injury. So I wasn't totally accurate because I didn't see him in water, and the rock must have been the boat. But in my mind's eye, I saw a rock there. Mm-hmm. So, so that was a hard one, and not everybody can do missing people because of that, or crimes. I know somebody, a good friend of mine, who's working on, trafficking, and working on cases with police using psychic abilities, which is an incredible step for us because, they're actually taking us serious, and, we're helping. And we don't want to be the last resort. We want them to call us first,
or be the hidden resort.
Yeah.
Because that law enforcement has been using psychics and remote viewers and, the FBI for time and for always. But it was so, and has been so taboo that that's not something that's known, that's not shared with the public.
Right.
But there's obviously so much success behind it because they keep using people who are able to do that. I think it's really neat that you're able to do that and that you're able to help in such a profound way, but also seeing those things of that nature would be really challenging on your psyche, I would imagine. What are some ways that you navigate your emotions and attachment to seeing something so horrific?
So built into our protocol is where we break away. So the idea is that at the end of your session, you end the session and you kind of sever that connection. And there's, we kind of do a little scribble thing that kind of shows us, okay, we're separated, we're call back our energy and, and let go of whatever is in there. But again, this is not something for everyone. And, but a lot of people, they want to do it. And I think it's fantastic. We also do some fun things where we're looking for treasures, and we look for, people will call me like they lost their wedding ring or a bracelet, and we help. And my mom used to call me like, I can't find the can opener.
Oh, really?
I'm not going to remove you the can opener. You just tune in and find it. So
that would be great. I lost one of my favorite rings I always wear, every day.
Oh, okay.
It just fell off my finger somewhere, and I'm like, I really wish I knew where it was. I was, those pieces that you just want to hold on to forever, and then they disappear, and you just can't, for the life of you, figure it out. But I remember putting it on, and then when I would go take it off at night, like I do all my rings, it was gone. And I was like, what?
Have you ever had the experience where you lost something and you looked in the same place like 50 times and it wasn't there. And then all of a sudden it's there?
I feel like the fairies took it and then they were like, just kidding. You can have it back.
I know. I have a friend that told me, she's like, oh, it went into a multiverse and then it came back. I'm like, really? Why not?
I mean, there's so many unbelievable things you don't know what's real, and that could be a possibility. And I always joke about it, and I say the fairies took it because I really believe in fairies, and I believe how mischievous they are, and they like sparkly things. So,
Oh my gosh, I love fairies too.
yeah, they're really amazing. There's these guys that used to have a show here on KGRA, and now they have their podcast. They just do themselves, Expanded Perspectives. Cameron Hill has amazing stories about the Fae, and I've brought him on a couple of times. So good, so good. So if anyone ever has a chance to listen to their show, fantastic fellas, Cameron and Kyle. They're so good people, great storytellers. I just really genuinely appreciate and adore their storytelling. And they talk about all kinds of things, but he does have a liking of the Fae, so he has a lot of good stories. And the more I hear him, I'm like, oh, it's got to be real. It's got to be real. I believe him.
You know, I didn't realize that I had talk about dismissing things. Are you familiar with Monroe Institute?
I've heard of, yes.
Okay, so the Monroe Institute is in Virginia, and Robert Monroe is the one that kind of came up with binaural beats, and it can help you with leaving your body and all sorts of cool stuff. And I got an opportunity to go, and it's a really cool place. And the idea is they'll kind of talk to you, and then you go into, and then you practice what they teach you. I don't want to give too much away. And so I was in the place where you practice, and you're in a sleep, deprivation room. So like if you're kind of claustrophobic, it might not be for you, but I love it. I love being in, cozy, dark places like there. It was so cool. It was so amazing to me that pretty much for the whole week, all I did was fall asleep. And you're supposed to be doing the exercises they're telling you, but I'm out like the light. So one day, you have a headset on, and Robert's like talking to you in your ear, and you're following all the directions, and I'm out. So one day I woke up before it was over, and I opened my eyes, and it's like pitch black. And I saw just a little faded, maybe an orb, like a light. And it was like muted color, and it would kind of just move around the room. So I'm like looking all around, like maybe my headset has a light on it, or I'm like looking everywhere for light. There's no light coming in that room. That's the whole purpose. And so I just kind of asked it. I said, "Who are you?" And I figured, you're at Monroe. That's what you do. You ask, "Who are you?" And so it was like, I didn't hear anybody. It was like a knowing. It's like, fairy. I'm a fairy. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so I told my friend, and, he told everybody in the group, Michelle has a fairy. And and we started discussing it. And I realized that my whole life growing up, I was attracted to fairies. I just never realized it. It was just a part of my life and never thought anything of it. I love Peter Pan. I love Tinkerbell. Phrase ever since I was 6 years old. If you believe in fairies, clap your hands. When I was choreographing big production scenes in the plays that I was doing, people would be like, "How did you, have a vision of how that's supposed to look?" And I would just jokingly say, "Well, I have a little fairy that does the dance, and I just copy it." And I just didn't put it all together. And then things just started happening over time. And so a group of my friends, years later, said to me, "Michelle, you're the type that when somebody wants something, like you grant wishes. And I'm like, I guess, yeah, you know, like not in the true sense that I grant wishes, but when somebody asks me to do something, I get it done, you know. I want to please people, you know.
Leave it to Michelle.
Right. And that's how my business started from that. I actually have a phrase like, you know, make your wish list and then we will make it happen. So
Awesome.
That's how that all got started. So that was my spirit guides, my fairies. So
I was going to say, I bet they're your spirit guides. I bet
Yeah.
they're here to assist you.
I know. I don't tell too many people, but I guess I did today.
You did today. Whoever's listening definitely heard you believe in the Fae.
Ooh.
I get a lot of comments and weird looks when they're like, fairies, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
But I love glitter. There's never too much glitter. There's never too much glitter.
I mean, true. I am a crafter and I believe in that statement wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I also don't believe that fairies are all glittery. There's
Right.
this trend going around TikTok when you stand by a tree and ask the tree to touch you and it touches you.
Yeah.
You've seen that, and everyone's like, oh, the tree's listening, the tree talked to me. I really don't believe that's the tree. I really believe the Fae are like,
Yeah.
let us touch you, like you're, but also you have to be so careful with an invitation like that with the Fae because
Oh yeah.
of their characters. They're not all glittery and
No.
all lovey-dovey.
That's like the
They're
Hollywood.
actually
It's the Hollywood, again, the Hollywood
Right.
Peter Pan version of it. And, you know, I do have troublemakers in my, you know, because I have like a group of I cannot believe I'm saying all this, but I have like a group
you're
of
soul wandering. That's what
I
happened.
know, this is like, yikes. Okay, just go. I already started. But yeah, there's a troublemaker one, and I use them a lot for healing. And I do, you know, just with friends, like nothing official. But like if somebody's sick or not feeling good or whatever, I kind of send my fairies, and I can, in my mind's eye, I see them like literally using tools and working hard and chipping away things and moving color, like really hard workers, you know? So yeah, I said it and I believe it.
It's out there.
It's out there. You gotta be
Can't
careful.
take it back.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
I love that though. I really do. I just think that we would be so naive and quite selfish to think that we were the only type of beings in the universe.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
there's all different kinds. With remote viewing, so there was another show that was on KGRI for just a minute, but she was a remote viewer, and well, she is a remote viewer. And she would remote view like old crime scenes or areas where there's a lot of Bigfoot activity or things like that. Do you get into that type of remote viewing just for fun, or is that something that you're interested in? Or if not, like what are your favorite places to remote view?
Okay. You mean cold cases or like big mystery places?
Both. Yeah, she does both.
So, yeah.
Well, I don't know if she does cold case. Well, yeah, it would be a cold case, but
yeah, I mean, anything. I'll do anything. One target that, are you familiar with the Baltic Sea anomaly?
I've heard of it. I don't know a whole lot about that.
It's some object that is deep, 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 like
Right.
so deep in the Baltic Sea that we could barely get down there. I think there was a documentary where they had to rent a vehicle that can go so deep, and then even then they couldn't get the information. But the way it looks is people are not sure if this is this a man-made object or is it natural? And so we remote view that all the time to kind of try to figure out, because when you look, some of the pictures are pretty clear and you can look and it almost looks like some kind of pattern on the outside that doesn't feel
That's
like
right.
it's natural. Like, it could be like a different language or something like that. And when I remote view it, I was getting, number one, that it was a man-made object, and somehow connecting it to some kind of culture that lived here a very, very long time ago. And this culture was connected to these crystals. And that's how crystals are what their energy source was. I mean, it came up in this whole
So like
section.
similar to like the Lemurians or the Atlantis or
Yeah, exactly. That's what people, when they look at that session, that's what they're like, wow, we think you may have been kind of connecting those kind of, that kind of thing. So
that's really cool.
yeah, it was really interesting. And I never have time, but like, you want to kind of go back in and kind of verify different things. I just never have time because then I'm always, then this, then this, then this. So here, I just remembered, I just don't want to forget that. We had, are you familiar with, what's her name? Gretchen Cornwell?
No, I'm not.
So she is a specialist. She's done a ton of research on the Knights of the Templar, and she's been on the show Oak Island many times. And she, I was talking to her. She lives in the UK, and I was kind of pitching to her to become a client because she's so interesting. And we got to talking, and I brought up remote viewing because I'm addicted. And and I said, you know what, maybe sometime like in your research, we can help you with your research by doing some remote viewing on something. And we're talking like you and I are, and she all of a sudden just grabs this thing and holds it up to the camera. And I'm like, what is that? And it's this little statue. And it looks like it's carved out of wood or something. And she goes, I want to know what this is. And I'm like, okay. So I put it out to my students. Hey guys, a practice target. We just practice target. And I gave it a number, and I just told them to do session. So they sent in, I think three people sent in a session, and it was incredible what they were getting. Patricia was thinking that this was a statue of, I had to write it down because I always forget his name, Sir Henry Sinclair. And everything that they were saying in the session was pointing to that would be a verification.
Wow.
And they were talking about things that are really hard to find about Henry Sinclair, like his loyalty to the Knights, how he worked in a big kind of military type group surrounding. He was so close to his family. That was a big thing. They were describing, so they didn't even know it was a statue or anything, but somebody was actually talking about carvings in wood. And that's what this actually was.
Wow, that's really neat.
It was really unbelievable. And so she happened to have recorded our feedback session. A feedback session is when she reveals to everybody what the target was. So she held up the statue. She happened to record it with all of us, talking about her sessions. And now she's going to put it in her documentary.
Oh my gosh.
So interesting. But yeah.
I just shared her website over in chat on YouTube for those who are wondering more about Gretchen Cornwell. She's gorgeous. My goodness, she's a bright and shiny light.
Yeah, she's great. Really good personality and really smart. Like she knows her stuff. So
that's really neat.
Yeah,
that's really neat. I love history. I'm gonna deep dive into her website. It looks like she has tons of really good stuff on there.
Yeah,
there's a lady that I don't get on TikTok very often. In fact, today I got on there for like 5 minutes because it had been like well over a month because it's the same thing. It's a waste of time
Yeah.
too. But I like to see new content and creators and what they're up to and in the topics that I like to hear about. And there's this lady, she's called the Queen of the Castles. And I am obsessed with castles. And in fact, when I go to Germany this fall, I'll be able to see my first castle and I cannot wait. But I know I've had lifetimes in castles, but that's the same thing. Like if I were remote viewing, I would want to remote view castles, like what took place in these walls, because they're so saturated with the energy of the history.
Oh yeah.
And the times back then were just like no other, just
Right.
absolutely crazy.
We do castles. We do, those are targets. Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that class that you'll be teaching. And before we run out of time, and because we're on the topic, and why don't you share it with us?
Okay. So this is a once in a lifetime kind of, not once, I'm being very dramatic, but this is an incredible opportunity because I'm going to be teaching my 8-week course for only $150. And as you know, AJ, like most remote viewing courses are like in the thousands, but I'm teaming up with Irva Asked Me, the International Remote Viewing Association. They asked me to teach this class. And I would like to support them in any way I can. So I'm hoping, like, my goal is to get 100 students in the class. But it's, if you can't make it, because it's 8 consecutive Saturdays, if you can't make it, we're going to record it, and then you can watch it later and then be able to catch up. Plus, I do a ton of reviewing. And so I am really excited about it. I think they'll throw up the link.
Yeah, she's been sharing the link throughout the show. So if you guys are on YouTube or Facebook with us live tonight, you'll be able to see that. I'll also pop the link over in the chat. So if you're not watching, you can still grab the link.
Yeah.
Oh, look. Chanel's on it. She popped it right up for us.
Yeah. So you just click on there and then you'll see a poster with my face on it. I'm sorry, but.
Oh my goodness.
About that.
Looks like that here. It's not allowed.
And and then just sign up for it. Help me get to 100 students. And it's just, it's the same class I teach in my regular thing. It's just, we reduce the price, and it's a great opportunity for you to get a chance to learn it. So, and of course, I'm looking for a team that can help with, projects that we get where you can get some money and get a little payment for doing this, which is a lot of fun. A lot of times we get asked to do, big CEOs or CFOs of companies, they ask us to look at the stocks. Like they want to know, like, should we go for this stock or that stock? Or they like to play the market, and they want to know, the financial market go up or down. And also, horse races, lottery.
Of course.
All this stuff, and people hire us to help them, and we do pretty well. I'm in a group right now with Stefan Schwartz. He's the guy that he was like one of the founders, like in the very beginning of remote viewing way back. He had like one of the first documentaries where he had a team of remote viewers, remote view the city of Alexandria, if it really existed. And then they all went there, and they had a psychic who found this place in the wall that was, built up with stone, and nobody would have known. But they found out from an expert that on that land where they built this wall, there was whatever she described. And then he also did a project called the 2050 Project, where he had like 100 or more remote viewers predict what's going to happen in the year 2050. And then last year, he did it again with the year 2060. And so he's really interesting. And I'm working on a project with him where we are doing some kind of financial. I don't want to know about it. I just like to do my remote. When money gets involved, I get too, distracted by the money. So I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to do my session and then whatever happens after that. But we've hit a 75% hit rate. So the people that are using our information are definitely making money. So that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But just even having the ability, we all have it, but tapping into our ability and being able to use it for whichever way, hopefully for the good that we see for ourselves. How neat is that? I'm definitely interested. Who else is going to take the course with me?
Yeah, I hope we
all
get
about it.
People. It would be so awesome. I love seeing everyone's cute faces, and I just really love teaching. So I want to have someone to teach.
I can tell you're definitely passionate about it, and that matters. I would rather take a course from someone who was in it for the right reasons than for the financial gain, right? Because it's all about intention. Like you were saying earlier, it really does matter. And where you put your energy, at least for me, not everyone's the same way, but
yeah.
I'm curious, is remote viewing similar to automatic writing?
There is an element of it. Mm-hmm. There is something we do. It's hard to explain here, but there is something that kind of kicks off one of the phases that we do actually do automatic writing, and it's something called ideograms. And so I have to describe what, that it's too complicated to
get into right now.
Yes, we do automatic writing. And another thing about automatic writing is when you're in this trance state, and we're encouraging you to sketch, even if you're not a good artist, like myself, because I'll give you an example. I had a student, and his target was a train going across two cliffs. So it was like a train going up, like in a very high up with two cliffs on the side. And he drew a sketch of, he drew a vertical building and then drew like lines in there. And he called it a vertical building. I think he said a vertical building. But if you turn the paper sideways, it looked exactly like the train on the tracks between the two. The way he drew it, like he was not aware of it because it was an automatic writing thing. He was hooked up to the target, the photo, and his mind did that like his mind did something that he wasn't totally aware of. Mm-hmm. And so automatic.
So fascinating.
It is so cool because I went, oh, and I turned the paper, I turned it sideways, and then boom, and like, wait, this is the train. You got it.
That's so neat. Cool. We have a question from the chat room. Can people learn to hide from remote viewers?
Yeah. So if you're somebody, there is another aspect of remote viewing. You did mention like the not so good parts of it, but it could also be good too. We call it remote influencing. And what comes under remote influencing could be some nasty stuff, but I prefer to go with the non-nasty stuff because remote influencing can be under the category of healing. And we do have a protocol for remote viewing and healing somebody, and that would be remote influencing. The negative part of it, if you feel like you want to protect yourself, it's really about creating an energetic protection. And then, because I have a partner that I work with in remote viewing, and we have found times where we have been given targets that maybe we're not supposed to be looking at. Like this one happened when we were targeted, which we didn't know until afterwards. But in his session, he kept getting like, oh my God, I'm getting blocked. I feel like I'm getting nothing. I'm getting blocked. Like there's energy blocking me. Like he kept saying that over and over. And it turned out we were looking at the alien bases on the moon. And so he felt very strongly like somebody put something up so we couldn't see at a certain point. So that's how. So if somebody does, it's intention. If you put an intention to build a block or hide yourself, you absolutely can do that, because this is all, it is, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to explain. It's like in the quantum, it's like quantum entanglement and
right.
It's energetic. And it's just, it doesn't necessarily follow all of the laws of physics, because we're in the quantum energy level. So it's not following all that.
Leading from you sharing that, I'm curious, do you teach your students how to block and shield their energy from leaving pieces of themselves in the places that they're viewing?
Yes.
And is that a thing? Like, I believe it is, but for those listening, wondering like oh man, we're running so short on time. I have so many questions.
But yes, I'll make it quick. Yes, we do that. We start, we have our first thing where we learn to put a protection around ourselves.
Oh, good.
And there are times, in the class, I'm giving you very you're just practicing. So there's nothing too controversial in there. I might surprise you with something, but nothing, but when you're starting to do operational targets, I always encourage to ask like the source or what, all knowing, should I be viewing this? And then you'll get like a yes or no in your mind, like no, yes. And then you go forward. So a lot of times we kind of do that. And then the idea of breaking away from your session at the end. Those are two very important things that a lot of people in the psychic world, they kind of forget about. And I notice that a lot of people hold all that energy. They end up sick or sickly or their own problems. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because they don't release, you have to call back your energy and kind of sever your session. Even in life, like, if I talk to my mom and it's not going well, for sure, like as I hang up the phone, I'm like cutting off the connection, calling back my energy. Yes. So we do that in life too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I asked that because I do crystal energy healing. And at the beginning and the end of my sessions, I'm very intentional at the beginning, very intentional at the end, because in the beginning of that, when I first started doing sessions like that, like 7-8 years ago, I wasn't doing that. And I was having all of these things happen, but I wasn't trained to do something like that, right? It's not something that was told. It wasn't like an awareness to me. I just knew I had these abilities and I wanted to help other people with them. But I just went into it like with that space, like I just want to help people, really naive to understanding the negative side of things, if you will. Mm-hmm. So I learned the hard way, but now I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah. No, it's a good habit to get in. And I do, I try to remind people to do that. It is part of the process. And, we do, being in service of people and having this, willingness to help other people, it just goes back to the basics when your doctor says, got to take care of yourself before you could take care of your family. Right. It's the same thing, it's the same thing. You got to take care of yourself so you can take care of others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, Michelle, this has been so awesome. We still have a few more minutes. So I want to make sure everyone knows again how to find out more information about this remote viewing class and also how they can get in touch with you, because you're up to a lot of really great things and everyone needs to know about you.
Yeah, so my website's up, so you can look at the papers and the experiments that we did on my website. I talk a little about remote viewing. I should put a link up for this class because you have to sign up for it at IRVA. But again, it's like, I know that 150 is not easy for everyone. It's just relative to the amount that they charge for remote viewing. This would be the time if you have it. An
incredible investment opportunity.
I think, I really strongly, because I just learned so much. It's like therapy.
Mm-hmm.
How much do we spend on therapy? You're going to get 8 sessions for $150. And it's going to help you just make changes in your life and be my friend. Like, I want friends and a community, and I want it to grow and just do so many fun things. So
I agree. And I love that's your intention behind it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been a pleasure and an honor to have you. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to get to know you more and continue my friendship and relationship with you. It's just beautiful.
I love it too. And the feeling is mutual. And thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Michelle. And to all of you, our listeners, you guys are the best. Thank you for showing up and supporting us tonight. We love having you here. You're the reason why I show up every week and do what I do. So blessed to have you. And a shout out to my producer. Look at her just doing all the things up here on screen. She's awesome. Thank you, Chanel. And everyone, as I always say, be good to yourself and be good to each other, and we'll see you next week. Good night.